Today on TimesCast, reactions to the death of Osama bin Laden. From Pakistan, a newspaper columnist, Cyril Almeida, explains the silence in Islamabad. In Afghanistan, there is sadness and anger.
USA! USA!
While in New York, crowds gathered at the World Trade Center site.
Now, it went from elation now to questions.
Cyril, you tweeted earlier today that this raises questions about U.S.-Pakistani relations. What are those questions?
I think the question that will be asked out here in certain quarters is, will America tire of Pakistan? Effectively, since 9/11, these are two reluctant allies. Is it possible that as the Americans are looking for an endgame in Afghanistan, an exit, you've got Osama bin Laden now, maybe the patience thus far demonstrated with Pakistan's antics, maybe that will run out?
The Pakistani government has said that the raid occurred according to the declared U.S. policy. Can you explain what that means?
Press release they just put out a few minutes ago, or a couple of hours ago, or an hour ago, did not speak of Pakistani participation in any way, shape, or form. I think it raises more questions than it answers, because does that mean that the Pakistan government is following declared American policy? I think someone didn't think through this too well.
The prevailing question here is essentially, how could Osama bin Laden be living in a compound in Abbottabad, which is a pretty sizable city, about an hour's drive from the capital?
The world's most wanted terrorist has been found on Pakistani soil, a few kilometers from our #1 military training academy. It seems over the years that Al-Qaeda prefers to hide in densely populated urban areas in Pakistan, and where it's very difficult for the police to know who's coming, who's going. To that extent, it's not very surprising. Should the military have known about who is occupying which houses 4 kilometers from their main academy? Well, that's a separate question.
Reaction could be heard from the people around Afghanistan. The people in Host province, located in southeastern Afghanistan, and laid over the border with Pakistan, are afraid of comment on Osama bin Laden's death due to fear from Taliban and their Pakistani associates. They thought if they comment over his death, they will be targeted next day either by Afghan Taliban or Pakistani Taliban.
When I went to Polycystic Mosque today, everyone was saying like he was a Muslim, the other one was saying he was a jihadi commander, and he was the leader of Islam. So we are deeply sad about his death, and we are angry about this because this is a big loss for the Muslim people.
The biggest overview question here is, what does this mean for the U.S. relationship with Pakistan, and how that plays out will determine to a great extent Pakistan's role in any kind of reconciliation or peace deal here. Afghanistan is, in a sense, always torn between Pakistan and the United States. It is very difficult for Afghanistan, even though it feels indebted to the U.S. in many regards for all the help in fighting al-Qaeda in the early days, 2001, 2002, but very difficult for it to cast its lot entirely with the U.S. because they know that we are not here forever, and Pakistan is forever going to be its southern neighbor.
We're down here at Ground Zero on Monday morning, the day after the announcement that Osama bin Laden was killed. It's a typical Monday morning in New York City. I mean, people are coming out of the subways, they're arriving for work, and you still have people here that arrived last night or early this morning to more or less celebrate the capture and killing of bin Laden. You have these two emotions. You have the euphoria that people are feeling, and then you have the people who just want to get to work.
Now, it went from elation now to questions. How come this animal got burial rights? Who authorized that?
This war on terror is not just some operation overseas. That's something that's taking place here, right now, where we work, where we pray, and most importantly, our legislative bodies.
Was it any different today, handing out these papers?
Very different.
Why?
It's going like hotcakes. Maybe it's because of this big face, bin Laden. The main face of terrorism, we got it, but there's always going to be terrorism. You got to keep fighting,
I just love it for the Democratic Party, you know what I mean? Democrats, we got Osama bin Laden, you know? So it's going to be good for us politically, but it's good for the country. It's kind of like just giving the finger to these terrorists, basically, you know what I mean? For lack of a better word, you know?